In a world where the truth isn't always what it seems, four masters of real estate step forward to help put the E first in the word true. TREU. Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. And now, here's the Fantastic Four of Real Estate with their host, Tom Platania.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed TREU Radio on this absolutely beautiful Florida South Thursday morning.
It is gorgeous.
Absolutely
It is.
gorgeous.
This is what
out.
summer's all about here.
Yeah.
Man, anymore, I don't come out of my house too often because of my other business that I do. I don't really need to, so it's like I come out Thursdays for the show.
Blink a couple times.
Well, it's funny.
So you're kind of like Gollum.
Yeah,
you know, in your cave.
Exactly. It was kind of funny because I was watching. Have you ever seen the new camera? Well, not new camera. It's been out for a GoPro.
Oh yeah.
GoPro.
I'm looking into buying one of those.
It's doing its IPO in the stock market today, and the guy's talking about how he started it. 12 years ago, he started it in his bedroom, just because he's a surfer, and he wanted to create something that he could bring with him while he was surfing to show what he was doing. And 12 years later, they were talking about he was so into his work that he didn't want to get up and walk to the other side of the house to go to the kitchen. So, they'd use these things called camel packs. You ever seen those?
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a reservoir for drink or whatnot that bikers and whatnot, they put on their back, so when they're on long hikes and that they can just drink the water out. So he would sit at his desk and he'd put his camel pack, and he was just talking about that he basically just hibernated in his room just to do work. And it's like, I get so busy. I mean, some days I'm working from 7 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night because I guarantee 24-hour turnaround time for my clients. But so I finally came out of the house today, and I'm like, wow, this is really nice out.
So you put water in the Camelback? See, up in Chicago, people put Captain Morgan's in it,
well,
and they sneak them into the football
Well, it was
games.
public radio, so I figured that I would just kind of keep it on the down low for now.
I didn't believe that anyway.
What is water?
It's an ingredient.
It's an ingredient, exactly.
I'm trying
Something
to
you
quit.
bathe in.
Something you bathe in. I do that a couple times a week, too. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. Do not forget to go to TREUradio.com, where you can watch us live in the studio. You can ask questions. We have a little chat room next to it. And we have quite a few people that actually come in and chat with us in the chat room, because if you don't like to pick up the phone and call, you're like Scott. Scott's kind of a shy guy, right, Scott?
Yeah,
Right.
There's a camera now.
No, he's the one in front of the camera all the time, right? So so you can go on there. You can chat with us. You can ask questions. We have a lot of great stuff going on. And don't forget, coming up on our show after our first break, we have Hot Around Town, and that's where the realtors Carol Morgan and Scott McAllister this morning are going to tell us what they have hot out there, whether it's an open house. And by the way, you had an open house last week, right?
I did. And
How did it go?
Today we're doing the broker open. It's today. It's
Nice.
been crazy.
Did it go good?
Well, the open house, I think because it's out in the country a little
Yeah.
bit, there weren't a whole lot of people that came through. We had one buyer.
Okay.
Or
nice.
actually, we had one seller.
Okay.
It was a neighbor in the neighborhood who was looking to sell. And then we had an
always
investor
good,
that
though.
came through.
Yeah.
So that was good.
I mean, if somebody shows up, the one open house that I ever did in my illustrious 6-month career was a house out on the beach. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Absolute embarrassing. Actually, the Indian River. Embarrassing moment, though. So, I mean, big, huge, gigantic house. There was nobody living in it. The renter had left out. So I open up air conditioning. Of course, there's no electricity. There's no running water. There's nothing. So I open up everything in this house, and I got the trays out there with the vegetable tray and the drinks and the water and stuff like that. So I'm there for hours, and I'm there for hours, and I'm there for an hour. So out in front of the house, there's a little deck, and there was a couple chairs there. So just wanted to take a load off my feet. So I go and sit on the deck. Somebody taps me on the head. I fell asleep.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Luckily, it was my girlfriend that came by to visit me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, do you know, it didn't happen to me, but when I was taking clients out, we stopped at this was in Michigan. We stopped at this house to preview the open house. The real estate agent was sound asleep on the couch. He had his shoes off. He was snoring.
Oh, my
He
God.
didn't hear a word. He didn't even know we were in the house.
Unreal.
was
That's
like,
scary.
oh.
I was embarrassed. I mean, it was her, so I felt okay. But yeah, I need to make sure I drink relaxed coffee and stuff like that with me.
Yeah.
I remember about 15, 20 years ago in Boca, they're doing the tour, the broker's tour that they do, and we're going from house to house, and it's down the street. Obviously, this is Boca, all high end, and it was a waterfront property for like $600,000. Everyone's like, oh, we got to see this. That's really low priced. We figured it needed work. But we didn't know that it was a crack house, and they were and they were actually like crackheads asleep in the house.
Oh,
the
my
realtor
gosh.
opened the door, brought us in, and there were like, people sleeping on the floor,
Oh,
with
my
drug
goodness.
paraphernalia all around them.
And where was this?
This is in Boca.
Oh, my
Like a
gosh.
waterfront property.
There's drugs in South Florida?
I
Yeah,
don't
right.
know. That was that was a moment everyone was just like, turn around and leave.
Oh, my
Get away from the crackheads. Don't wake up the crackheads.
Yeah, like the
Now,
cartoon
this is
commercial.
one business that you have to be always very, very careful.
Wasn't there didn't a realtor
Yes,
just get
the
assaulted this
real estate
week?
agent was
Oh,
assaulted
really?
this week. Had picked up a pie at one of the local markets here, and two guys followed her and pointed a gun at her chest and took her car.
Did they take the pie?
I don't know. I had a
I like when you're focused on.
food, But it's scary out there.
No, it is.
we have
She
to be,
okay, though?
well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
After she got over the shock of all of it, but that's very scary.
No, and we especially we do a lot of property out west, and I have people that go out. We always have a policy of a buddy system because you're going out in the middle of nowhere out there, and you just don't know. You have to be, and safety is number one, more important.
Yeah,
than
way out
anything.
there and out there. I mean, in Jupiter Farms and stuff like that. I mean, people aren't going to find you for a long time.
Right.
For a long time.
Yeah, we were out in Okeechobee just a couple of days ago, and the stretches between seeing another car are half an hour sometimes, and you don't for any reason. You could, a snake could bite you. You always want to have that buddy system going on, even if you feel comfortable with the area.
That's a smart move. That is a smart move. Well, today's show, we're going to be talking about some things that maybe you didn't really quite know about. Did you realize that realtors are not just here? You guys aren't just here for buying, selling, or investing in homes.
We also rent.
Absolutely. I mean, and right now, nationally, we're at about 42% rentals, which is up a little bit. But some parts of now some areas of Florida it's a little less, and some actually in California, and obviously it's probably because of the cost of property and whatnot, it's much, much higher than that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to find out from you guys, what is the benefit from, dealing with a good, qualified, knowledgeable realtor versus just popping up on Craigslist and going, hey,
There's so much crap out there on Craigslist, let me tell
that
you.
one looks good. So we're going to be talking about that today because I didn't realize how much was involved, and also how you could probably protect yourself quite a bit when we're looking at having a realtor helping you out versus just doing it on your own. So we're going to be talking about that. But also, we have an exciting guest coming up, not this Thursday, but July 10th, which is 2 Thursdays from now, right here on TREU Radio. We're going to have Drew Dunlap from Dunlap Construction, builds some very nice, high-quality homes up in the Johns Island, Vero Beach, Fort Pierce, Oceanside. But he also does a lot of high-end remodeling too, and he's got some beautiful pictures of some work that he does. He's one of my clients, so I've done quite a few of his homes. And the thing I liked about Drew, which differs from some of my other contractors, is how attention to detail he was. That he actually called me up or sent me an email back and said, hey, can we tweak this? Can we move this? Can we do, usually these guys just accept what I do, and it's.
Well, that's the hardest thing to find. Ever since my father completely retired and looked at me and my mom and said, no more. Do not give me any more work. Yeah. Before that, we had very reliable, because my dad was one of those attention to detail people. And it took us a while to discover someone that we could trust at that level. Yeah. And it's nice to be able to have someone that can do that.
Yeah. So I really like Drew. So when I asked Drew, I said, Drew, I know you've been trying to kind of find your way down here in the Martin County area. I mean, just the type of homes that he builds are perfect. And remodeling that he does is perfect for this area. And so I said, I would love to have you on the show.
Good.
We've been looking for a great builder. So he's going to be on July 10th, so don't miss that show here on TREU Radio on WSTU. And now also, well, a couple things that we got coming up here. We're going to have some great show. We're going to have, I'm trying to get, we had Mary Beth on the show last week, and I'm trying to get Housemasters back again, but he is slammed.
He is. I just left him this morning. He's doing a pre-inspect for me today.
I've given them like 6 deals in the past month, so I know they're busy.
So I wanted to get them back on because there were some good things that Mary Beth had talked about that I want to get to see if we can get them back on. So maybe we can. But hey, if he's slamming on business, I don't want to take his business away from him to bring him out here. So real quick before going to our first break, rentals. Why would someone come to a realtor now where would you get inventory from for a renter?
Oh, we have landlords that call us and ask us.
Landlords. Now, are the landlords, are they investors who have, or are they homeowners that just kind of have a second home?
Some. I mean, both. It's a combination of both. But on that note, for those of you who are looking out there to rent, excuse me, I had a good example this week. I had a gentleman who was referred to me who had gone into a lease option, and it went south. The lease option went bad. Come to find out, he received bank foreclosure papers from the bank that the house was being foreclosed on.
Oh.
Come to find out, when he did his homework, because he did not have an agent working for him, when he did his homework, or so he thought, all he did was went to the county to find out who was on title. Well, this guy provided him a warranty deed showing him that he was on title. He literally leased a house from a gentleman off of Craigslist that claimed he owned the house, rented it to him with an option. He had about 10 grand into it going on in the option, plus he paid his regular payments, which were supposed to be applied to the purchase price, and it was all fraud. He now has no avenue to fall back on. I mean, that money, he can just kiss it goodbye.
Now, what could someone do to protect themselves against that? Or what would you do as a realtor that would have
Well, because I was going to the county records to find out who the owner of record is. And when I do my leases, I need to either meet those people, those landlords in person. I need to know who they are.
All right.
I need every aspect from them. I usually ask proof when I'm listing a house on a landlord. Plus, I also have a paper signed.
Okay.
Keller Williams' policy is that we have the owners sign a policy stating that they are current on all mortgage payments and HOA dues, so that at least we have something to fall back on. Go to county records, pull up who the owner is. I have had people who said they've owned the houses, and I've gone into the county records and find out they're not the owner of record. Okay, who are you? What are we doing here? This is not
Click.
Good. This is not good. See you later.
That's the way. How about you, Scott? Do you guys do much on that end?
Yeah, we don't actually go out and solicit rentals, but we do, because we do a little bit of minor property management,
right?
And we do for our own sellers. Like if we buy someone a home, and they're not gonna. It happens very frequently where someone finds a good deal, especially in the past few years when the prices were down,
right?
And they bought a house thinking, I'm going to retire in 5 years and I want that house, but they still want to make income off of it. So one of the services that we do offer is at that point, we'll do the property management and we'll do the lease and everything to make sure that in 5 years that house is ready for you to come in and, and for you to retire down there, but you're still able to, pay your mortgage and all those
Carol.
things. Yes, because there are a lot more details to a lease than there are to even selling a house. It sounds weird, but and Carol is so good at that. I'm always like, we've moved to an office that's not next to her anymore, and it used to be so convenient. Like, Carol, how do we do this? What do I do in this situation?
Awesome. All right, well, hold that thought, because I want to get into more of that about the property management thing as well. But we're going to go ahead and take our first quick break to hear from some of our sponsors. You're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. We have Scott McAllister, Carol Morgan here in the studio with us. I'm Tom Platania, your host. 772-220-9788. Give us a call.
Customer service, and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Are you selling your home? Wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. Every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding. When you buy a home without a housemaster inspection, things can break down without warning. When things break down without warning, you get angry. When you get angry, you may commit acts of random violence. When you commit acts of random violence, you could do hard time. Don't do hard time. Call Housemaster for your home inspection needs. 772-336-2111, or visit them on the web, stlucy.housemaster.com.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. If you're watching online at TREUradio.com, don't forget to go into the chat room. Put your questions in there. If you have any questions about rental property, maybe you're a homeowner. Maybe you're thinking of moving up north. Maybe you're thinking of possibly having a winter home down here or something like that. You can give us a call and find out a little bit about details of how you should handle that. Because I think that's probably what... Now, I know we've had a lot of investors come over here, but what would you say percentage-wise of homeowners versus investors for rental properties?
Oh, I would say probably 97% are investors.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's high. It's high.
And that's more recently, right? Because the way the market has changed? Because of the prices of homes?
The investors are buying up a lot of the foreclosures and short sales. I mean, they make a good turn on their money.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, we're talking about with, like, clients that I've had, and when Andrew was talking about Nadal, his client, how hard it is, because you have customers who are going up trying to get an FHA mortgage, and then they're going against everyone with cash. And it's right. Hard to compete.
It's very hard.
It's so hard to compete with I've got an FHA and the other person has cash,
Yeah, so obviously they're going to choose. They would probably choose.
They want a sure thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't blame them on the one side. If I were the seller, I would want the cash myself too. But I feel so bad that there are people who can't afford can actually afford these homes and need these homes, but they're not getting them because they don't have it in cash.
Right.
And
because of the liability afterwards as well. Because, are they going to continue to make the payment
Right.
Right.
down the road?
Right.
That's tough. And now, are they a lot of these people local investors or are they foreign investors?
The ones that I've been dealing with are pretty much local investors.
Local.
Yeah, I've dealt with the local. I know Farouk deals with a lot
Yeah,
of
I
foreign
think he does.
investors.
Yeah.
But we've mostly, except we do get some people. For some reason, we've got a lot of people from Venezuela looking for property out west.
Okay.
Equestrian property and stuff like that. We've seen.
Okay. So now that there. All right. So as a renter, what benefit is it for me besides the one moment, the thing that you just mentioned that they kind of got? It doesn't happen a lot, but it probably does happen.
Oh, it happens more than you know.
More than you know. Is that besides that one benefit? What are some of the other benefits that if I'm looking for a place to lease a house, condo, whatnot? What's the benefit of me coming to you?
Well, I mean, we're going to keep an eye on the place.
Okay.
You have someone that's a central contact point, especially if you have multiple properties. If you have 3 or 4, are you going to, call the guy and make sure you can have someone where it's like, hey, my realtor's going to pop by, on the 3rd month to check things out.
I see.
And
Okay.
you make sure that people, because even in higher end stuff, you'd be surprised. I've seen people trash higher end homes.
Okay.
You'd think like, oh, they're renting it for $2,500 a month. They're going to, they're the kind of people that would take care of it. And surprisingly, not always.
So basically, as an investor or a homeowner wants to rent the home out, the benefit for using a realtor is just basically have somebody to take care of all the burden.
It depends on what level of burden.
Right.
We don't do a 100% full service property management like we used to do back in the day in Boca,
Okay.
and I got some good stories we'll tell later.
yeah.
But we used to do full service property management. Right now, we're just more keeping an eye on it, and we can call people for you.
Okay.
But other people do. I know there are realtors. I don't know if Carol does that level. I know there are a few other realtors that I've seen that they say they do full service property management for their clients, where they take care of all the minutia.
Okay.
Right. I don't do full service. I mean, I'm the go-between person. I'm
Okay.
that go person that when a tenant has a problem with something in the house, they call me, and then I know what I need to do. At that point in time, if it's something that's major,
Okay.
say they've got a hot water tank that blew and there's water all over the place, at least I know where to call, who to call.
Yeah. Okay.
And but then I always go through the landlord, of course, and let them know what's going on at the same time.
Well, let's get to Hot Around Town real quick before we continue on with our segment here. So, Scott, let's start with you. And what's hot around town for Mr. Scott and McAllister team?
Well, we did just put another listing back on the market, which is good because we need a few of them.
Back on the market.
Back on the market. It was a short sale.
Okay.
And it's one of those ones where they had an agreed upon price, and then they get a new price opinion, and the bank changes their mind, which happens frequently in short sales. It's one of the things you do have to be careful about them. But it is on the market. It is up in Port St. Lucie in the Becker Road area.
Okay.
It's 3.2. It's in need of a little TLC, but basically in good shape. They're asking 146.
Okay. All right. How about you, Miss Carol? What's hot around town for you?
Oh gosh, I've just been working my head off, just trying to between the open houses and the broker open.
Now, the broker open is
and
tonight?
It's tonight.
And we will be there.
It's a catered
What's
event.
that?
We're going to be there.
Nice. Nice. At what time?
It's a catered event from 4 to 7.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that the agents out there who are listening will come and take a look at the house.
Okay. And
The
what's
address
what's
is 11206 Southwest Meadowlark. It's in the Foxwood neighborhood in Stewart.
okay? So from 4 to 6.
4 to 7.
4 to 7. Oh, okay. So just
4 to
we got
7.
happy hour, drinks,
We do.
2 for 1.
Absolutely. Free. Beer, wine, and water. Your
I
choice.
like that. I like that. Yeah, I have to go over there tonight. I'll have to leave my man cave.
Come by.
Carol always throws a great open house.
Nice.
I
Ba-
try.
you gonna
Well, you guys do too.
you gonna bounce houses and stuff like that? Or
No.
no. Oh no.
No. Just had to have the dogs removed out of the house today. That's all.
Oh, okay. The other people still staying there?
Oh yeah, the owners still live in there.
They're still living there. Okay.
It's not vacant.
All right.
Yeah.
That'd be beautiful property out there. I know what it's like out
Oh,
there.
it is
so,
gorgeous property.
so gorgeous.
Somebody who's looking for the country, it's just a perfect place to live.
Yeah, didn't think you could live in the country in South Florida, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Surprisingly, you can. I
And
mean,
still be 15 minutes to town.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not bad at
Even
all.
out in Indian Town, people imagine it's so far away, and
You
it's
do.
not
It's
really.
really
It's
not.
really not.
No.
You take it's what 714, 710, and bam, you're there. And yet you still can all feel like you're out in the country.
Yeah. In fact, my sellers have bought a place out in Okeechobee
Oh, okay.
because they wanted to go farther out in the country.
Farther away from civilization. And Okeechobee's they got a few things out there. They're not too desolate, but it's actually pretty close to the casino out there too.
Leave it to you guys.
Food and gambling.
Yeah.
And video games.
I've actually never
Yeah,
been.
and women.
I've never been to that casino. Have you ever been to that casino out there? No.
I'm not a gambler, so
The
No,
only
I'm
casino-
not a gambler either. But I'm sure they have entertainment and
I've
stuff.
never even been down to the Hard Rock.
No.
That's the only one I've been to in Florida, and I won $2,500.
Wow.
Oh.
I play poker, and I'm not a gambler of anything, but I love poker. And
Right.
it was my last day of vacation,
Nice.
heading back to Chicago. Sat down at a poker table, and I won $2,500.
Nice.
Paid for my
his
whole
vacation.
vacation and
Wow.
everything. It was
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So me, I'm looking to rent a property. Either now, lease, rent. What's the difference in the terminology?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just a higher class term
5 letters versus 4.
for
Yeah,
some
got it.
because you hear that it's almost like you look at the type of individual or the type of building or residence, and the term seems to change.
I think for some reason, I think lease is just used more in legalese.
Okay.
Whenever you hear, you always hear about lessee and lessor,
Right.
and so I
Right.
think that's,
You don't hear rent or rentee.
even though they're both appropriate.
appropriate.
Yes.
But yeah, in legal contracts, it's always lessor. And
I think that
lessee.
in the bigger cities you see more rent.
Rent. Okay.
They just say for rent instead of for lease, whether it's because they have, you can put it in a smaller sign. I don't know.
Well, I like in England, it's to let.
Yeah, to
Like,
let.
Oh,
to let
okay.
is
To let,
for to
yes.
rent. I'm like, that's even one letter less. Yeah,
That's even
I've got a house to let out. Like, what?
Like what? I got a flat.
Yeah.
I got a flat to
Yeah,
let.
there you go.
Yeah.
So what's the benefit of me, besides what we talked about? What would be the benefit? Why would somebody looking to lease a condo or home, why would I come to a realtor?
Well, first of all, because we have access to the MLS, so
Okay.
that we know what's out there, that these houses actually are for rent by actual landlords.
Okay.
So that they have less opportunity to fall into that hole that it's not legal.
And oftentimes we've actually been to the property, so we've seen it. We can
Okay.
tell them what it
Right.
looks like. It is actually legit.
The second thing is your money, your escrow money coming in, your money coming in that you give to the landlord, that you would give if you were dealing with a landlord up front, actually goes into an escrow account until we know that everything is legally finalized at the end.
Okay.
So you don't have somebody that's a landlord says he is a landlord, you've given him your money, and now he's gone.
I see.
It's just protection. It's protection for everybody all the way around.
Now, doing some research, is there some type of a law that says that escrow money supposed to go into some type of a fund, interest bearing, or no? No.
It goes into a non-interest, and we disclose that it's non-interest.
Okay, it has to be disclosed.
It gets too confused. I mean,
There are legal ways to do it, but
do
you're
it.
always advised absolutely just to not do it and put it in a non.
because what happens if you put it into an interest-bearing account? How much interest are you getting on your money today?
Nothing.
Not a whole lot.
Pennies.
So if a landlord or even on a buy side, say if you're putting, I don't know, you're renting a $2,500 home. $2,500 goes in. It's probably there less than 30 days. How much money are you really going to collect on that money that's sitting in that escrow account?
Well, those first license securities will sit there for as long as you.
Until you disperse them out.
and-
Until you close that
right.
lease, then you
So if
disperse
you're
them
there
out.
for 4 or 5
We do not
years.
property manage at Keller Williams, so
Right.
therefore the monies all go to the landlord.
Okay.
The landlord has to have that money, has to be in a we say non-interest bearing account, but it has to be in a bank account that he does not commingle his regular funds with
Right.
in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Wow. See
And
that?
that's actually the number one thing that most landlords could get caught on if someone called them on it, because most of them just stick it in their bank account. A lot of them do not have, because I've asked that of people before, like, oh, so, can you show me the account? And yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Yeah.
because they
Oh.
don't have a separate account.
Okay,
I
so
always tell my landlords when I'm signing a lease, you must open up a separate account in the state of Florida that you have nothing but to hold your escrow money in.
and I bet you a lot of people don't know that.
And even think if you're, again, you said what's an advantage of maybe a landlord hiring a realtor to do this for them is some of these people wouldn't think of that, and they might innocently just put the money in their bank account, and they could get sued for that. You know, and that's actually against the law, and you could be breaking the law not
And
knowing
on
you're breaking the law.
$2,500, how much
Right.
interest are you going to get? Maybe $1,
Yeah.
if you're lucky. If you're lucky today, now
Right.
then that money part of that has to go back to the tenant. That has to be divided back up and put back
Right.
to the tenant. So we just say put it in a non-interest bearing.
Yeah, the frustrating thing for me in a couple of the places that I've rented for a period of time is if they're looking for first, last, and security. Let's say you stay in that area for 3 years. That first, last, well, the first is taken immediately. So
Right.
last and security. If you're there for 3 years, let's say it's $2,500. That's $5,000 for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. That's sitting and doing nothing.
Well,
If you had that money,
you can write it. We've had leases where the last is applied to the 12th month of the lease, and if the lease goes forward, they just keep the security.
okay.
So you're not holding on to, say, in that situation, after 1 year, you would not.
Oh, okay. So there is
the
some type of
12th
a
month,
negotiation
You can
on
do
that.
that,
Okay.
yeah. And I put it in so the 12th month, the last is paid, and if they stay longer, then you just keep the security.
Now,
And
see,
there's
I
no,
don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that because I'm not protecting my landlord.
I'm telling you, if I'm on the
Yeah.
I'm on the renter's side.
Yeah, I
you know.
understand. Right.
So, see, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Nor would I accept that from a renter when it
Because see, and because I've rented a few homes since I've sold my home, that was one thing that always frustrated me, especially because I love playing around in the stock market. I don't do a ton of it, but I mean, I'm up 47% pretty much every year because I do the right stuff. So to me, that $5,000 or whatever it may be, if I can earn 47% per year on my money, well,
it's
that would
How
be
many
the
people can do that?
Not many people, but for me, there's some people that can.
Yeah.
But for me,
It is money
there
that's
a way?
stuck out,
Is there
yeah.
a way that you can legally stipulate that say, okay, if I'm going to give you this money, I want it put in an interest-bearing account?
Yeah, but the thing is, like Carol
What are
was
you gonna
saying,
get?
you're going to get 1/4%.
Yeah.
It's not. It's actually just
nothing.
not worth it. If you could say, will you put it in a money market that'll get me 20% back, but they won't do that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's not worth doing.
All right. So having you to help make sure that everything goes straight. Now, what about from the buyer, the owner's point of view? What is the cost to them typically if they wanted to hire you? I know typically in a regular real estate transaction, what's it, around 6% if somebody's doing a real estate transaction, right?
Well, I get 10% of the gross on my rentals,
Okay.
and then I pay out a co-broke if I've got another agent out there out of that.
And
that
it's
10%.
typically defined by the brokers, right?
the listing broker.
The listing broker typically defines whatever the company is. They're the ones that typically define what that fee is going to be.
Now,
Well,
the
that's
seasonal,
pretty
I get
standard.
20 to
It is.
25%.
Yeah. Yeah, seasonals you do because you're doing it for a much shorter
I
period.
see.
But 10% is very industry standard.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to be for that, when we'll do that, that's going to get you, our due diligence and all that. There are, like I said, there are realtors who do full service,
Right.
Property management, and those would be extra fees. In Boca, we kind of stumbled into that. My mom actually sold Vince McMahon of the WWF. Him and his wife, an oceanfront house in Boca.
Nice.
And he said, we're only going to be here a couple weeks a year, in a $4 million mansion.
Yeah.
And he was like, so I need someone to take care of it. Can you recommend a property manager? And my mom could not think of someone she trusted that much for this guy. And she just goes, well, my husband's a contractor. And he hired my dad, and that formed my dad's property management company, which he
Nice.
then went on for 20 years, down in Boca, taking care of those houses. And it was an adventure, being able to hang out at the McMahon's house during the summer, because you have to run the.
Did they have a wrestling ring?
No, they
No?
didn't, unfortunately.
Ring card
But they
girls?
had 4 boats, jet skis, cars, and they all have to be run at least once a month. You can't just let
Oh,
them sit.
yeah, of
So
course you can't,
My
Scott.
dad would call my brother and I'd be like, "Okay, guys, today we have to take the boats out," and we would fuel it up, bill them for the fuel. and just take their
Unreal.
boats out because you got to drive them.
Yeah. Oh, that is crazy.
It was a
Tough
fun
life.
life. It was a fun life. That
I
was
don't do that.
That was great. My dad is totally retired from that, but it's funny because there's 2 customers that he has in Boca that just don't trust anyone but my dad.
Wow.
So to this day, just so that he goes and looks at their house,
Right.
he pays them. They pay him to drive to Boca once a week and collect the mail, and then send the mail to them because he wants them just walking in their house and looking at the house for them.
Oh,
And he told them, he's like, I live in Hobe Sound. It's like $60 worth of gas. They're like, we'll pay you $200. You know, it's like we just want someone we trust
Nice.
in a situation. So it's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
if you have the means to do something like that, a lot of these people, they want it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I guess that's something else that would be beneficial for an owner who wants to rent their house out, is having that, you know, because if they don't live close by, is having someone that they could count on to do stuff like that.
But like I said, even at the most basic, what Carol was saying, she's a contact point.
Right,
You know, if they want full service, they can pay more for that.
Right.
But you have somebody who you're like, I have a realtor who handles that for me.
Okay. Now, for folks that wanted to, is it basically the same type of a transition or transaction as if they were buying a home, as far as the interaction between you and the person looking to lease a property? They contact you, you sit down with them, find out what their wants and needs are. What kind of a process do you typically go through, Carol?
Well, when they call, I always find out what type of a house are you looking for. What are you looking for? How many bedrooms do you need? Do you have any pets? Do you have any trucks? Because we have to know that a lot of these properties out there have rules and regulations. So we have to make sure that we can find them something that that they fit, that little niche.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that you start. Then you need to make sure they get money. Do you have enough money to do this? So I break that down, and then at that point I run a credit report.
Oh, wow. Okay. Absolutely. Wow. Didn't realize that. I've never had anybody do that to me.
I run a credit report, make sure they're credit worthy.
It's just the same as pre-approving of someone.
yeah.
You had to do it.
Wow. Okay.
And
Now-
what's great is that now we got that new system
Yeah,
for pre-approval.
yeah.
That's a lot. It used to cost $75, and now what is it?
It used to cost $45.
Oh, 45. What's
But
it?
now,
$25.
now it
or
runs about 15.
Oh, well, that's a big difference.
So
Yeah, so
it's-
what we
it's
do
less
is we
expensive.
request the credit report. They will be notified via email,
Uh-huh.
and the email will ask them to please sign on and enter their debit or credit card. And it automatically, once they authorize it, because that's what gives them an authorization, we don't need that authorization sheet anymore.
Right.
Once they authorize it, they pay for it, then we're notified that the credit report is now ready to run.
Wow, very, very nice. So there's a lot of detailed stuff going on. Well, we're going to go take another quick break. When we come back, I want to hear some of Scott's stories. Scott, you said you had some stories?
Well, I got a couple gems.
You got a couple of gems. Hopefully, and Carol, hopefully you got a couple out there.
Oh,
So.
I'm sure we all have.
All right, you're listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed, 772-220-9788. We'll be right back.
Customer service and great rates. That's what you get with Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Remember, everyone's just one torrential downpour away from a flood. And with rates as low as $129 per year, why would you not get coverage? Call 772-233-4444 or email flood@atlanticinsurance.us and save hundreds on all your insurance needs. That's 772-233-4444, 233-4444 for Atlantic Insurance Advisors. Are you selling your home? Wondering how you're ever going to move all your belongings? Well, don't wonder. Call the trusted moving professionals from Mr. Small Move. Their staff of full-time movers are ready to take the stress out of your next move. Mr. Small Move will safely pack, move, then place and assemble your belongings at your new location. So if you're moving, call the trusted professionals at Mr. Small Move. For a free estimate, call 283-5540. That's 772-283-5540 for Mr. Small Move. Every 13 seconds, a home intrusion is committed in the United States, with property loss totals in the billions. Take action today to prevent it from happening to you with ADT, protecting homes and businesses for more than 136 years. Protect Security is your authorized ADT dealer on the Treasure Coast. Call Richard Stratman today at 772-708-2691. Protect Security and ADT, offering peace of mind security 24/7. Call today, Protect Security, 708-2691. Dramatic change invites invigorating new energy. Let Decorating Den Interiors create a dramatic change in your home's decor. They'll create a look that's important to you. Begin your home's gorgeous transformation by calling Decorating Den Interiors on the Treasure Coast at 692-8589. Visit their waterfront design studios on Southeast Osceola Street, downtown Stuart, and online at stewartdecorator.com. Has a recent foreclosure, bankruptcy, or short sale spoiled your credit? Fidelity Funding may be able to help. Their hometown lenders are specially trained to work with your credit history to find the perfect loan program and get you back on track. Even if credit is no problem, Fidelity Funding offers many dynamic loan programs. Call Fidelity Funding on the Treasure Coast at 772-237-5211. They work day in and out with realtors in your community to find you the house you love. Call 237-5211 for Fidelity Funding. When you buy a home without a house master inspection, things can break down without warning. When things break down without warning, you get angry. When you get angry, you may commit acts of random violence. When you commit acts of random violence, you could do hard time. Don't do hard time. Call Housemaster for your home inspection needs. 772-336-2111, or visit them on the web, stlucy.housemaster.com.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
All right, welcome back to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. That's TREU Radio, TREU Radio. We're here with Scott McAllister and Carol Morgan. Mr. Andrew Sesta and Farouk Ali are out there shaking their money makers. I think Andrew's preparing for his funeral.
Wedding.
I mean, it's for his wedding. It's a Freudian slip. I just keep saying that. I don't know what it is. But he's getting married Saturday, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
So they're finishing up the last minute stuff.
Finishing up the last minute. Yeah, and I tell you, it's a nervous wreck the last few days.
Yeah,
The 7 weddings that I had.
I think he's got about 107
Oh,
weddings.
geez,
You don't need to get married ever again.
And it was never me. I was never the cause.
Never.
No, I'm teasing. I didn't marry that.
You know, I'll tell you, I see, my brother and sister-in-law's wedding was this huge, gorgeous affair. And I've been to so many amazing weddings. Probably the most beautiful one I've ever seen just from a staging spectacle was my friend Pallav and his wife, Angela, because they did the Christian wedding during the day, but then at night they had the Hindu ceremony.
Uh-huh.
And, man, that was amazing. She came out in, like, this red sari with gold inlaid, and they did the ceremony around the fire and everything. And I'm like, this is really cool. And it was absolutely beautiful ceremony. It's really neat.
That's good.
But I think that I would just get, if I ever get married, it's going to be just a simple on the beach. My closest friends, if you like me enough to fly down and hang out and see me, you're invited. And, I had a friend that got married that way, and I thought it was so nice. And we all just sat around and had a barbecue afterward, and it didn't cost a lot of money, and no one was stressed out. And it was really nice.
That's where I had my wedding, my last wedding on the beach.
His last wedding.
My last wedding.
With a capital L. Right?
Yeah.
I've only been married twice.
No.
But actually, it was a beautiful wedding. I mean, a beautiful wedding on the beach, and the absolute gorgeous weather right here on Stewart Beach.
Oh, nice.
And then we had the reception over at the...
Did you guys see what was out on that beach yesterday?
No, what?
It was a whale shark.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Beach
yes,
itself?
I saw the video.
Oh, my God.
I saw the
beached
video.
itself?
No.
It was
Oh,
just swimming out there.
Oh, wow.
It was huge. It was just
There
huge.
were people filming it, and it's funny because the guy's like, I'm not going to jump in there, and they're actually completely harmless.
Yeah.
But
They're
it's
harmless.
still huge.
And then they did show pictures of two guys that were actually holding on to one and swimming.
Oh, my
Because they
gosh.
don't hurt you at all.
They're pretty big, though,
But
aren't
from
they?
what I understand, they can get to be 60 feet long.
Yeah. How big was this one?
It was a
I think
baby.
It was like 35
Yeah.
feet.
Oh, it's a
something like-
baby, yeah.
But they're plankton eaters, so
Yeah.
It was amazing
Are
to
you?
see it.
No, my last name's Platania.
Tom Plankton.
Oh, trust me, I've
Sounds
had,
like something out of SpongeBob
I've had that
SquarePants.
before.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to hear some of Carol and Scott's stories, their rental stories here. What do you got, guys?
Oh gosh, there's so many stories out there. Go
Well,
ahead.
I got one of my favorite was property management one, but it was at Vince McMahon's house, and we had the police, obviously his alarms all over his property, and he owned the property across the street too, which is where his docks were on the Intercoastal. And there were laser lights, and occasionally animals would, knock the alarms. And my brother was the contact point when the police were contacted if there was an issue. So we get called out. I was staying at my brother's house. It's like 3 a.m. We get called out there, and the cops are all there, and you can tell they're like, we have a couple of gentlemen, but we don't want to arrest them because we know who they are, and they're kind of famous, but they're also drunk, and we don't know if they're supposed to be here. And we're like, okay, so we go, and it was the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Ultimate Warrior, and they were in Miami for a match, and they got drunk and decided we're going to go hang out at Vince's house in Boca.
Oh, that's too
And they're
funny.
sitting on the dock wasted, and the cops are like, should we arrest them? But we don't want to. And we're like, no, it's okay. Well, please, don't arrest them. But it's hilarious. I thought the voice that Macho Man did was fake. Like I thought
That's
he
his
put
real
that
voice?
out. He comes like, oh, thank you guys, really appreciate it. You guys are great. And it was just my brother and I
Ultimate
go,
Warrior. That's all old school, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and it was the original Ultimate Warrior, yeah, and Macho Man, who I believe they're both passed away now.
Macho Man passed away.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow.
So it was my brother and I are just leaving there like, this job,
that is too funny.
It was hilarious.
That is too funny.
I've never had anything quite like that.
Can't top that one, Carol?
No, I can't top that one.
All right, well, don't forget on Thursday, July 10th, right here on TREU Radio, if you're considering doing a nice remodel or perhaps building a very nice quality home, you're going to want to stay tuned because we're going to have Drew Dunlap from Dunlap Construction is going to be here with us talking about kind of what's happening in the construction industry now and some of the changes to the homes and why you might want to consider possibly building one now at this time versus finding one that, it's already out there. I mean, that's probably some stuff that you guys can. What are the benefits now to a homeowner? If should I build or should I find something?
Well,
and
I
buy?
think that's so specific.
It's kind of like buying a used car versus new car.
Yeah, I mean, it's still
I think
more
you get
costly.
more value out of a new house.
It's more costly. Well, you get more. You get value because your codes are up to date codes. So that means all of your hurricane codes and all of your building codes and everything
That's
are
true.
more up to date by building a new house. But the cost factor of that is greater. I mean, if you buy a house for 2,000 square feet or you build a house for 2,000 square feet, it's going to be more money to build a house.
To build a house.
Than to buy
Okay.
an existing. But, that's always been it. There's a lot of people out there that just would prefer new. I'm one of those people. I have built 12 houses.
Wow.
And I have remodeled a
Almost
few.
as many marriages as I've had.
Almost. And I've remodeled a few. And it's harder to do a remodel than it is actually to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And there's some great opportunities. We were just driving through Evergreen the other day looking at some properties, and there's a few homes that are selling for about $200,000 that we looked at it and we're like, this is pretty much just property value at this point. The house looks like, but if you can afford that and you want to, these are gorgeous lots and you're getting land, unlike, if you're moving up from Boca where you're used to 0 lot lines,
Right.
you can build a custom home with some land, so a little bit, some privacy and all that, and really recreate what you had down there
Right.
but a lot better.
But the only thing you have to do, too, is you have to be very careful that you don't overbuild the area.
Okay.
Because that's very easy to do.
Oh, yeah,
especially in an older community.
Now, how many people actually have you dealt with that have bought like the home like you're talking about for the property value, ripped the home down and rebuilt on it? Does that happen a lot?
Yeah. I dealt with it more in Boca than I have up here.
Okay.
It's mostly been resales, but people in Boca, it would be a house that was only 5 years old sometime. But they was like, I don't want it. I just want the lot. They tear it down, put something else in
Right.
there. And people were buying
And
lots
sometimes
for,
sometimes there's benefits to that because sometimes they can leave a retaining wall or a part of a foundation and then it becomes a remodel instead of a new build.
I
So
yeah, you
there
can
are
play
different.
games
You
with
can play
that. yeah.
games. There's games that can be played.
And believe me, the contractors know
They
how to
know
do it.
how to do 'em.
All right. Well, we had a great show, a lot of great information. If you want to find out anything about renting a home, maybe you are an investor, you currently own your home, make sure that you give our realtors a call. Scott, what's that phone number that they
That'd
call?
be 772-444-2590.
Okay, and that gets you directly to the agents, and they could help you if you're looking to rent or lease a home, or you own the home and you're an investor and you want to have one of our Fantastic Four here help you to manage that or kind of guide you in the right direction. Now, you can also go to TREUradio.com. That's TREU radio.com, and you'll see all of their pictures on the front. You can click on any one that you want, and you'll have all of their website information, their direct phone number information, all their contact stuff, and also find out a little bit about them. And this way you feel comfortable about making that final decision. So, guys, I want to appreciate, again, being on the show today. I hope you continue to have great business. Good luck on your broker's opening tonight.
Thanks, looking forward to it.
Yeah, if I can figure out a way to get out of my man cave tonight, maybe I'll stop by since I'm not a broker, though. But,
Come see us.
there you go. All right, so as you know, we got to end our show with Zig Ziglar quote every week. And what we have here is how you see your future is much more important than what happened in your past.
Very true.
Always look forward, always look ahead. Don't focus on what's happened in your past. Thanks again for listening to Treasure Coast Real Estate Unleashed. I'm Tom Platini, your host, with Carol Morgan, Scott McAllister, Farouk Ali, and Andrew Sesta are shaking their money makers. But we'll be back next Thursday right here on WSTU 1450. Have a great weekend.